Good morning, everybody. What's going on? Or good afternoon. I haven't been making many videos. Uh, I'm kind of going to explain why. I When I went through all this stuff in 2019 when I lost my legs, I got out of the hospital and I didn't want to take any pain medicine because going through everything I went through before that, I was on them so much. I mean, I was just taking so many pain pills for my back when I had my back surgery, and I was just taking them too much. I knew it. I had a problem. I was working at UPS, and Vicodin didn't show up in the drug test as anything bad. It would show up as high doses of ibuprofen, they said. And I always had a script, but I never failed a drug test. So that wasn't very good for me in my situation because I was taking them like Tic Tacs. But I was in pain. I had reason, I had issues. I was on FMLA, not knowing what was going on, and went through all that back surgery stuff the year before. But anyway, that was 2019. When I got out of the hospital, they said I can go to pain management to get more pain pills. I did not want pain pills. I'm telling you, they just weaned me off the Dilaudid a couple days before and sent me home on Percocets that I was already taking. And I just got a text somebody sent me about a lawyer. But anyway, I didn't want pain medicine. I still had all my staples in my legs and everything was in a hospital bed, bedridden, and I went with no pain pills. It was hard. It was awful. I was in a lot of pain, but I just did not want to have that problem. And I started going to a place called Health Recovery out in Kent, and I'd go out there and talk to a counselor every month, and they'd give me Subutex, and I'd take a pill and a half a day. They put me on like 2 a day, 1 to 2 a day as needed. Well, I'd wake up and take that 1 a day and then sometimes a half in the afternoon, and I was fine. I don't drink anymore. I don't take any pain pills. I don't do anything. And in a way, they say it can help me with pain as well. But I use it for an addiction issue. I use it because it helps me stay on the right track. And I don't never want to drink. I don't never want to do those pain pills. I don't never want any of that stuff. And some people get on it to get off that stuff. Some people stay on it. And I've talked to my counselors, but at the place I was at in the new place, say there's people on 10, 15 years. If that's what it takes for you to stay the way you are, that's what it takes. Well, what happened was the week I had that issue when I was in the hospital, and it was in ICU, unconscious, and they didn't know what was wrong. That Thursday before, when I went to my counselor for my session and did my drug test, and never failed a drug test, mind you, in 4 years, to where they started letting me come every 90 days. I'd come every month. I'd have a phone interview, a phone consult, and we talk on the phone for like 10, 15 minutes, and she'd call my script. And then, so every two months in a row I'd do that, and then the third month I'd have to show up and do my drug test and have an in-house thing. And it's been like that for 4 years, 4.5 years. Well, that visit, I had that last visit on Thursday, my counselor was like, "Oh, I got bad news, but it's okay because I got another option for you." I'm like, "What do you mean? What happened?" She's like, "Well, what do you take Subutex for?" And I said, "Well, because I had an addiction to pain pills and I was an alcoholic and it works for me to stay sober." She's like, "Okay, well, now here's the deal. Unless you have hives, pregnant women, or something else, they can no longer prescribe them to me. I have to go on Suboxone." And my response to her was like, "Well, isn't Suboxone what you accidentally prescribed me a couple months ago? And I got really sick on it. And I called you up saying I didn't know you changed me and I'm sick on this stuff. And you said you didn't mean to put me on that. And you put me back on my Subutex." She's like, "Yeah, that's the stuff." She's like, "Maybe you weren't used to taking it." I said, "No, because before when I started this with my other doctor," which is another thing, my other doctor that I had for 4 years just disappeared one session. And we were close. He talked about his business he had on the side. I mean, he was my rock to me, kind of. And it sounds dumb to some people, don't understand it, but some people go to these meetings and do all this stuff where they get a chip for you're sober for a day, sober for a week, sober for a month, and the religion, they use God and all that, and that doesn't work for me. I did all that. I tried all that. It doesn't work for me at all. It just frustrates me and makes me want to go. Every time I'm there, I want to leave. So I finally found something that worked for me, and after 4 years of it and her telling me that she can't give that to me and I got to go on Suboxone, she's my doctor, so I did it. And that's when everything went bad, because I started taking the Suboxone that weekend, and it was a holiday weekend. So all Saturday, Sunday, I was sleeping. My daughter came over. I didn't want to do anything. We laid around watching movies, and it was fun. But she knew I was sick. And Sunday, I dropped her off and came back and laid on the couch all day and watched TV. I was just real down, couldn't do anything. Monday, I thought I was feeling better, but then Tuesday, I went to work in the morning, worked till noon, came home sick. Took Wednesday morning off just because I knew I only had a couple hours of the work. I thought, I'm not going in for that. I'll do it Thursday. So I took Wednesday off. Then I got in the shower. I was piddled around laying in there watching TV, and at like 1 o'clock, I finally got in the shower, and I got out of the shower, and that's when it started happening. I started just withdrawing like something fierce, and I kept like locking up, like I was dehydrated, I think, but I kept like going, like when you stretch in the morning, you wake up and stretch your legs and lock up. I would just automatically do that, not even trying. It would just do it. I'm like, what the heck, I threw my pop can the one time when I did it, like, oh my God. That's when I knew I had to call paramedics because I couldn't get a hold of Chuck. I was calling Chuck because he had just left here, and I called him. He wouldn't answer. I called Michelle. She wouldn't answer because she was on the phone telling me to call Chuck, and I'm like, oh my God, So I just called 911, and the paramedics got here, and I barely remember them being here. I basically blacked out on the way there. I kind of remember something that happened right when we got there because I was telling them, I'm not on drugs. I'm just withdrawing, though, like I'm a crackhead or something. I said, I swear to you, I'm not on drugs. And they don't believe that. They just think you want something. But I was asking, can you just give something to knock me out or calm me down? Because the withdrawal, the restless leg syndrome, I had all that. Like, I've never had that before like that. It was awful. And so I blacked out, and then like my ex-wife's still on there as my whatever, and she showed up, and she didn't know what was going on or what was wrong. I hadn't talked to her in like 5 months, so nobody really knew what was going on, and all they knew is that they did a drug test on me, and there was no drugs in my system, and I just passed a drug test Thursday at my counselor when I went to my last visit with my counselor. So once they realized that, then they would give me morphine because I was moving around, going crazy, ripping my IVs out, and my back was tweaked. My back was killing me because they were laying flat on my back. I don't lay ever on my back. I'm always sleeping sitting up, and it's not good, I know, but it's the only way that I'm comfortable because I need a back fusion. I need my L4, L5, S1. They all need fused together, and I'm not having that surgery unless I wanted to walk, and I can't walk because I'm not getting into all that. I don't want to have the surgery if I don't have to, and I'm not going to have it. But I can't lay flat, and I was in a lot of pain. So let's keep going with it. The doctor gets me out of ICU after 3 days, and I'm in recovery, and they just want to watch me to make sure that I'm okay. And mind you, from the time I was in there, and they were giving me my script of my stuff, they were giving me everything, my gabapentin and my Subutex. They were putting me on Subutex. They didn't know that I was on the Suboxone. They didn't know that I just got the Suboxone. And when I woke up, 8 o'clock the next day, which from 2:15 until 8 a.m., I remember nothing. And I found out that throughout that 2:15 to 8 a.m., I wasn't just unconscious. I was actually, they would said I would look at them and look away and start trying to rip my IVs out and trying to get up. And like people said, they would call my name and I'd look at them, and then I would just start moving around, fidgeting around. And I did that until 8 a.m. the next day, and they had to have a nurse beside me the whole time, I guess. And there was a bunch of other crazy things that happened that I'm not going to talk about. And they told me that it was like that all night. I'm like, oh my God, I thought they knocked me out or something. But what happened was, as I was withdrawing so bad and so deep that I just blacked out. And it wasn't a cool feeling. And they had IVs and got my system where I was hydrated. And got to me where the withdrawal went away, but it still come and go. And they said it'd probably be like that for 2 weeks because they think the Suboxone wiped out all my meds I take. I take a med for anxiety. I take Lexapro. I take a high dose of gabapentin for my nerves and my legs. And since this has happened, there's been, a lot of people telling me I should get a lawyer because this is not just a doctor screwing up my meds. It's a lot more than that. It's a doctor that screwed up my meds with 2 meds that, from when you Google it and when you talk to people, even the hospital said, he's like, I'm not licensed to subscribe that, but I can tell you that it's not supposed to do that. And if you look it up dictionary-wise, in doctor dictionary terms, he said it's not supposed to do that. He's like, but a lot of doctors will say that they've had issues with it, and it does happen. And that combining the Suboxone and the Suboxone and the gabapentin together, they're both like a nerve pill or something. Whatever it is, it's highly dangerous to mix it. if you Google it, you'll find so many things. And I know it's the internet and things aren't always true, but it's just awful weird that you can Google taking gabapentin and Suboxone, and you'll find so many doctors that are telling you articles on like it's very, very dangerous, and you should talk to a doctor when going to do that knows about it. And they all say that. Well, I was at a place that was supposed to know that, and whether they did or not, which I think they did, when I left the hospital, the doctor said, you're going to have to go to your doctor that prescribes you this and tell them what happened so they can figure out if that's what did happen to you. And so I made my appointment, and I went in Tuesday thinking I was going to talk to my doctor about what happened. I wasn't mad. I wasn't trying to sue anybody. I wasn't pissed off even. And I was excited to see my doctor, actually, to tell her, hey, look, this is what happened. It was terrible. You know, I think it was the Suboxone because you accidentally gave it to me a couple months ago, and it did the same thing almost. And anyway, I get there, and everybody's being weird. The lady that usually works at the front desk wasn't there, and everybody was being weird. And I didn't really catch it until afterwards. I started thinking about how everything went when I went in there. And I go down, and they put me in a room with this guy that was already in there in a suit, you know, dressed up, and he speaks that indie shit that calls you wanting to take gift cards for paying your taxes and shit, those scammers, just like that. And so I go in the room, and I wonder why my doctor's not there, and he doesn't introduce himself. I didn't know who he was. And as I'm thinking that, he's like, what's your name? I'm like, Todd Penn. He's like, hey, Todd, how you doing? I'm like, well, great that I'm not in ICU. And I laughed. And I'm like, I want to figure this out, you know. And he's like, well, we can't prescribe you that anymore. You're going to have to find a new doctor. And he just sat there looking at me. And it was my turn to talk. He didn't say nothing. He had nothing to say after that. I'm like, wow, so that's it. You can't give it to me no more, and I got to find a new doctor. I could have done this on the phone. And I'm like, why are you in here? Why am I not with my doctor? Are you a doctor? And before he could answer anything, which he was saying no, but this and that, I'm like, look, you know, this is bullshit. I spent $225 a month to come here the last 4 years and paid for my scripts and done what you guys said and passed all my drug tests. And this has been something that's kept my sobriety the way it's been the last 4 years. I've been doing good, and I feel great. And this is what you guys are doing to me, telling me just that's all you got to say. You don't want to talk about. I was just in ICU, and the hospital didn't know what was wrong. I had my ex-wife in there, my daughter crying, trying to ask the hospital, what's wrong with him? What's he doing? And they don't know. And they talk about brain activity and shit and all this weird shit. And my paperwork, I got it right here. But I took it there that day to show my doctor everything the hospital gave me, and it went bad. It went real bad. And I was like, fuck you and fuck this place. I'm leaving. I was very disappointed and upset that happened. I felt like I was set up. And I felt really worse about it was the fact that he just said, I'm going to give you 7 days of what you were taking, but I can't give you no more. And that was all it was going to be. Like, I couldn't believe it. And so I'm bitching all the way out down the hallway, all the way out the door, telling everybody in here, like, you guys ought to find somewhere else because this place is awful. I said, they switched my meds, almost kill me, and don't want to talk about it and tell me that they can't help me. I said, this is crap. And they're all real cool. Like, and I left, and I went out my bus. I was out for like a half hour before I left, and on the phone because I just was like devastated. I couldn't believe this just happened to me at my place that I go. That's my rock. And a lot of people on here can't understand that, and then there's a lot of people on there that don't. And I'm sorry that you don't if you've never dealt with addiction or anybody in your life. And it's really, the thing that bothers you the most is I see other people that need help and are struggling with addiction, and they won't get the help or do anything, and I wish they would. I mean, maybe I'm not perfect, you don't like how I'm doing it, but it works for me, and I'm not doing anything else. And I've been like this since I lost my legs. I've been good. I haven't been doing no drugs other than my prescriptions I'm supposed to take, no pain medicine. I take my little Subutex every morning when I wake up, and that's kept me sober for 4 years. And so now it's like, it's turning into something bad for me because now I'm struggling with it because all I got was 7 pills to last until I go somewhere else. So I went to my doctor Friday. He referred me to a place in Akron, Archwood, which is good. It's like a pill mill type place. No counseling. You just go in there, tell them how long you've been taking what you've been taking. And if it matches what it says in the computer, they'll give you what you take. And he was going to give me my Subutex every week. I had to go every week instead of every month. I had to go every week just to get it. not to sit and have a counseling session, nothing, just to go in there, pee, get my script, and go every week for a month. And then for 2 months, I go every 2 weeks. And then after 3 months, you can go every 28 days. Until he looked at my insurance. He left the room, came back. He's like, you know what? All I can do for you is give you 7 days of what you're taking, and then you got to say you'll come back next week and get the shot of that Buform. He's like, because what they're doing now is they're wanting to give you a shot of it for 90 days. And I don't want to do that. I never heard of that. That's what just gets brought up to me and saying it to me. Instantly, me thinking about it, thinking, okay, you just give me a shot, and that's supposed to last 90 days. What about when I start feeling a certain way, like now, in the morning, I take my pill in the morning. Later on the day, I get feeling a certain way. I'll take that other half. I'll take another half. Well, in that shot, if I get that shot, I don't have that opportunity to control it. You know what I mean? It's just supposed to be one dose to last 90 days. I don't see that working for me. I don't want to try that. That's not what I want to do. I don't, I don't want to do it. And I would rather just keep taking my Subutex every day, and because it works for me. And they still prescribe it, but they're saying only if, you meet these standards, these criteria, whatever. So now I'm back in the situation where I told myself, I'm not doing that shot. I don't want to. He's like, well, I'm not giving you the 7 days worth of pills. He's like, you either say you'll take it, you'll come do it next week, and then cancel the appointment, and you got your 7 days of pills, or I'm not doing it. I'm like, wow. So now I'm in here bargaining with you on getting pills. I got to lie and say, yeah, I'll come get that shot next week just to get you to give me 7 days worth of pills. I said, you're telling me to do that. And then he was acting like he wasn't going to do shit. I said, all right, look, I need it. I'll do this. And I just wanted to leave. And then when I was at the counter, the girls at the counter was like, everything all right? Because she knew I was, looking upset or disappointed or something. I don't know. I'm like, I just don't think I should have came here. I guess I was thinking something else. I said, is he a counselor? She's like, no. I'm like, what is this place? She's like, and as I was asking her that, the girl next to her, I went to the bathroom and I came back because they had me. They said, oh, he came out when I was leaving. Like, hey, can you drop urine? You mind dropping me urine? Like, as if I wouldn't. I'm like, well, I'll pee in a cup, sure. So I went to the bathroom, peed in a cup. When I came back out, this other black girl was working next to that girl, and she's like, Todd, she's like, hey, I'm the one that set your appointment up. I thought that's what you wanted, was to come and get your Subutex. I said I did. But he only gave it to me for a week, and as long as I agree to a shot, that he said just that's the only way he'd give it to me is if I agree to the shot. He said, and then I can cancel the appointment, and I got my 7 days, and I got to go somewhere else. I'm like, I wasn't expecting that. This is all new to me. I said, I've been sober for 4 years, going to the same place. They gave me Suboxone, put me in ICU, and when I went to talk to them about it, they told me to go somewhere else, and they didn't want me to be there anymore. And I'm kind of trying to keep my sobriety going, and it's not been too easy. So she's like, oh, sorry, I didn't know. I said, yeah, it's not your fault. I just thought I was coming here and I would talk to somebody about what happened, and maybe they could tell me about what happened to me. And the only thing he did have to say about it, in the way he was talking to me, being a dick, he was being a real smart ass. Like, when I'd say anything, he's like, oh, I don't want to hear that. I just need to know this. I'm like, wow. I'm thinking, you don't want to hear that? I was just in ICU, and I think it was over the Suboxone. And he's like, no, because Suboxone won't do that. I'm like, so you know that mixing Suboxone and mixing gabapentin, nothing happens? Yeah, it's fine. It ain't going to do anything. It only affects opiates. I said, okay. I didn't even say anything about what everybody else was telling me and what the hospital told me because he didn't want to hear it. But it's a fact that they all think that it does that. And so that makes my situation even worse, because this is something the last 4 years that I'm proud to say I'm not doing any pain pills and I'm not drinking. And I feel like now I'm having a hard time to worry about keeping it so I can figure out how I can get my Subutex like I take every day by like going down here to this place in Barberton. My doctor said that's a place too, but see, the difference of a place like that place here in Barberton is they prescribe them and give them to you out of their place, so it's not in the system of prescriptions like when I go to Rite Aid. Like, he can pull up everything in all my prescriptions. Well, if I get it at one of these rehab places like in Barberton, they are actually prescribing out of their system, and it's not tied. I can't explain it because I don't really understand, but he was saying something like that is why I could go there and they'll probably give it to me like that every 2 weeks. But it's just turning into a bunch of shit, because what happens is he has to go with what my insurance says. I said, well, can't you just prescribe it to me? I buy it, I'll pay for it, because I use the GoodRx card and buy it like that anyway now. He's like, no, I can't do that. And the reason he can't do that is because he's using my insurance. That place uses my insurance, Medicare, and he's got to turn something into the insurance, so he can't turn into the insurance that he's giving me something that they don't cover, is what it narrows down to. And I don't know why they don't cover it all of a sudden, because they always did up until now. I've never had this problem. And he's saying, no, they'll cover your Suboxone. I said, no, they won't. And he's like, I'm telling you, I just looked and they'll cover your Suboxone. I said, okay, then something changed in the last 2 weeks, because when I went to get my Suboxone, when she prescribed it to me, they weren't covering it then, and they said it was $400. I used a GoodRx card and paid $150 for them, and I only took like 5 or 6 of them, and I got them all at home, and I wasted $150 because I can't take them. So now I'm stuck with all these Suboxone strips that I can't even take, that I spent $150 on. He's saying my insurance covers it. So I'd like to call my insurance company and see if that's true. Because if that's true, I'm going to ask them then, why did I just have to pay $150 for them when I did a couple weeks ago? Because that's crap. Because now that's a lot of money. I can't afford that. Just throw $150 away? That's what it is. So now I'm stuck with all those, and I don't have many of my Subutex that I used to take, because I'm going to get my other script that he gave me today, because he gave me 7 days worth, and they're calling me now saying it's ready. But that's what I got going on. That's why I was saying, I wanted to get a lawyer, and my aunt and I were talking about it, but that didn't go through. But I'm still wanting to do it, call one of the places they give you the wrong prescription. I see these commercials, did your doctor give you have a reaction to it? Yeah, I did. I had a bad reaction in ICU and got all the proof, and they didn't know what was wrong with me. They did not know what was wrong with me. Luckily, I live by myself, and then I called 911, because if I wouldn't have, I would have probably laid there all night and died, just shaking and withdrawn, and not ever had the help I got in the hospital, and it would have killed me. And it's very serious what happened to me. And to have the place that I went to for recovery and spent $225 every month to see a counselor and get help and believe in them, to do that to me, it's like, I feel like everything they said to me was bullshit. And it's not really helping me too much. And it's not helping me now that I got to call New Destiny out here in Barberton to try to see if I can get in there and get something going where I can keep my meds going, to where I stay on track and keep doing like I've been doing. And it's just so hard. I mean, it's crazy. I didn't realize I've been jabbing for 22 minutes, but I'll let you guys go. Love you all. Peace.